Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjan Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjan Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanchari Yamunatira Vanchari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Sri Radhe Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Jaya Subhadra Jaya Gauranita 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 Jaya Gauranita Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada जय जय श्री श्री राधा चैतन्य भगवान की जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव निताय की जय गौर निताय की जय श्री प्रभुपाद श्री गुरुदेव की जय निताय गो प्रेमानंद हरि हरि बोल ऑल ग्लोरीज टू समबडी बोल हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू समबडी बोल हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू समबडी बोल हरे कृष्णा ऑल ग्लोरीज टू लॉर्ड श्री श्री गुरु श्री श्री गौरांग ऑल ग्लोरीज टू प्रभुपाद हरे कृष्णा I'll just share my screen. So we are reading from Prabhupada Dinamrita, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prabhupada, Prabhupada felt compassion. The compassion of a Krishna conscious saint had been explained in age long ago by Prahlad Maharaj. I see that there are many saintly persons indeed, but they are interested only in their own deliverance. Not caring for the big cities and towns, they go to the Himalayas or the forest to meditate with vows of silence. They are not interested in delivering others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools and rascals. I know that without Krishna consciousness, without taking shelter of your lotus feet, one cannot be happy. Therefore, I wish to bring them back to shelter at your lotus feet. The scenery gradually changed to the Pennsylvania countryside, and the bus sped through long tunnels in the mountains. Night came, and it was late after 11 when the bus entered the heavily industrialized Pittsburgh area on the shore of the Allegheny River. Srila Prabhupada couldn't see the steel mills clearly, but he could see their lights and their industrial fires and smoking stacks. Billions of lights shone throughout the city's prevailing dinginess. When the bus finally pulled into the terminal, it was past midnight. Gopal Agarwal was waiting with the family Volkswagen bus to drive Prabhupada to Butler, about 1 hour north. He greeted Prabhupada with folded palms and welcomed Swamiji, bowing from the waist several times. This was not any of Gopal's doing. His father, a Mathura businessman, with a fondness for sadhus and religious causes, had requested him to host the Swamiji. This wasn't the first time his father had arranged for a sadhu acquaintance to come to America. Several times he had sent sponsorship papers for Gopal to sign, and Gopal had obediently done so. But nothing had ever come of them. So when the sponsorship letter for A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami had come, Gopal had promptly signed and returned it, thinking that this would be the last they would hear of it. But then just a week ago, a letter had come. Sally Agarwal had opened it and then, in alarm, called to her husband. Honey, sit down. Listen to this. The Swami is coming. Srila Prabhupada had enclosed his picture so that they would not mistake. The Agarwals had looked curiously at the photograph. There will be no mistake there, Gopal had said. The unsuspecting Agarwals were simple American people, according to Sally Agarwal, who had met her Indian husband while he was working as an engineer in Pennsylvania. What would they do with an Indian Swami in their house? Prabhupada was a shock for them, but there was no question of not accepting him. They were bound by the request of Gopal's father. Dutifully, Gopal had purchased Srila Prabhupada's ticket from New York to Pittsburgh and had arranged for the agent from Travelers Aid to meet him. And dutifully, he had driven tonight to meet him. So it was with a mixture of embarrassment, disbelief, and wonder that Gopal Agarwal helped his guests into the Volkswagen and drove back home to Patna. September 20, Butler, Pennsylvania, home of the Jeep. Red granite plaque in the city park. Butler, famous as a town where the U.S. Army Jeep was invented in 1940, was an industrial city of 20,000, settled amid the hills of an area rich in oil, coal, gas, and limestone. Its industry consisted mainly of factories for plate glass, railroad cars, refrigerators, oil equipment, and rubber goods. 90% of the local laborers were Native Americans. The nominal religion had always been Christian, mostly Protestant with some Catholic, and in later years a few synagogues had appeared, but there was no Hindu community at that time. Gopal Agarwal was the first Indian to move to Butler. As the Volkswagen bus pulled into town, the pre-dawn air was warm and humid. The morning edition of the Butler Eagle would soon be going to the newsstands. Red Chinese fire on India. Prime Minister Shastri declares Chinese communists out to dominate world. United Nations Council demands Pakistan and India ceasefire in 48 hours. Srila Prabhupada arrived at the Agarwal's home, Sterling Apartments, at 4 a.m., and Gopal invited him to sleep on the couch. Their place, a townhouse apartment, consisted of a small living room, a dining room, kitchenette, two upstairs bedrooms, and a bath. Here they lived with their two young children. The Agarwals had lived in Butler for a few years now and felt themselves established in a good social circle. Since their apartment had so little space, they decided that it would be better if the Swami took a room at the YMCA and came to visit them during the day. Of course, living space wasn't the real difficulty, it was him. How would he fit into the Butler atmosphere? He was their guest, so they would have to explain him to their friends and neighbors. Srila Prabhupada was immediately a curiosity for whoever saw him. In anxiety, Mrs. Agarwal decided that instead of having people speculate about a strange man in orange robes living at her house, it would be better to let them know about him from the newspaper. She explained her plan to Prabhupada, who laughed, understanding that he didn't fit in. Sally hurried, Sally hurried off to a Pittsburgh newspaper office, but the interviewer was unable to comprehend why this person should make an interesting story. Sally then took him to the local Butler Eagle, where his presence was accepted as indeed newsworthy. September 22nd, a feature article appeared in the Butler Eagle. Influent English devotee of Hindu cult explains commission to visit the West. A photographer had come to the Agarwal's apartment and had taken a picture of Srila Prabhupada standing in the living room, holding an open volume of Srimad Bhagavatam. The caption read, Ambassador of Bhakti Yoga. The article began, a slight brown man in faded orange drapes and wearing white bathing shoes stepped out of a compact car yesterday and into the Butler YMCA to attend a meeting. He is A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swamiji, a messenger from India to the peoples of the West. The article referred to Srimad Bhagavatam as biblical literature and to Srila Prabhupada as a learned teacher. It continued, My mission is to revive a person's my mission is to revive a people God consciousness, says the Swamiji. God is the father of all living beings in thousands of different forms. He explains human life is a stage of perfection and evolution. If we miss the message back, we go through this process again, he believes. Bhaktivedanta lives as a monk and permits no woman to touch his food. On a 6-week ocean voyage and at the Agarwal apartment in Butler, he prepares his meal in a brass pan with separate levels for steaming rice, vegetables, and making bread at the same time. He is a strict vegetarian and is permitted to drink only milk. The miracle food for babies and old men, he noted. If Americans would give more attention to their spiritual life, they would be much happier, he says. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Before we start with the verse from today's Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 24, Text 6, so the prayers. Om Jnanati Mirandasya, Jnananjala Shalakaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devim Saraswati Vyasam. Tato Jayadudirahe. Astapraye Subhadrasya. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavate Uttama Shloke. Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki. So today's verse from Canto 4, the chapter's name is The Creation of the Fourth Order, chapter 24. I think the name of the chapter is Chanting the Song sung by Lord Shiva. Rajnam Vritam Karadana Dandasulka Didarunam Manyamano Dirghasatra Vyajanena Vishasharjaha Rajnam Vritam Karadana Dandasulkadidarunam Manyamano Dirghasatra Vyajana Visasar Jaha Rajanam Vrittam Kara Adanana Dandasulkadidarunam Manyamano Dirghasatra Vyajana Visasarja. I would request Prabhuji if you would like to read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare
Dandot
Krishna
Pranam.
Prabhu, Dandot.
Rajnam Vrittim Karadana Danda Shulakadi Darunam Shulkadi Darunam Maniyamano Dirga Shatra Vyanjena Vishasharjaha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Ragyam Vrittim Karadano Danda Shulkadi Darunam Mannamano Dirgha Shatra Vajena Vishasarjaha.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I am also trying.
Krishna Mata.
Ragyam Vrittim Karadhana Danda Sulkadi Darunam Mannayamano Dirgha Shatra Vyajena Vishasharjaha.
Thank
Hare
you,
Krishna.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. Okay. Synonyms.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
May I try, please?
Yes, Mata. Please.
Rajnam Vritim Karadhana Dandashulkadidarunam Manyamano Drigasatraha Vyajena Visarjaha. Thank you, Puji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Mata. Thank you, Mataji. Okay. Synonyms. Rajnam, of the kings. Pritam, source of livelihood. Kara, taxes. Adana, realization. Danda, punishment. Sulka, fines. Adi, etc. Tarunam, which are very severe. Manyamana, thinking like that. Dirgha, long. Satra, sacrifice. Vijena, on the plea. Visasarga, gave up her in the past. Translation and purport by Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: whenever Antardhana, the supreme royal power, had to exact taxes, punish his citizens, or fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, retired from the execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. Purport: it is clear herein that the king sometimes has to perform duties which are not very desirable, just because he is the king. Similarly, Arjuna was not at all willing to fight because fighting or killing one's own kinsmen and family members is not at all desirable. Nonetheless, the Kshatriya had to perform such undesirable actions as a matter of duty. Maharaj Antardhana was not very happy while exacting taxes or punishing the citizens for their criminal activities. Therefore, on the plea of performing sacrifices, he retired from the royal majestic power at a very early age. Just for invocation prayer. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjalashalakaya Chakshurunnisamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamyam Tadati Swapanattikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Uttapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagananagunatapitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhavitam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatte Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sudevi Pranamami Hari Panchakalpa Tarivesha Kripa Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavane Vyo Vaishnavi Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna. I'll just read the translation one more time. Whenever Antardhana, the supreme royal power, had to exact taxes, punish his citizens, or fine them severely, he was not willing to do so. Consequently, he retired from the execution of such duties and engaged himself in the performance of different sacrifices. So, just to a really quick recap. Till now, we have been hearing the glories of Prithu Maharaj, which has finally led us to his lineage. And as part of within his lineage, it's starting from his eldest son, who's King Vijit Aswa, or also known as Antardhana. And in this chapter, it starts with discussing the qualities of King Antardhana. How he's the eldest son, first of all, and his reputation is just like his father, King Prithu. And it's within the early text, we can see he's very affectionate at the same time. And in this verse, Srila Prabhupada highlights the duties of a supreme royal power. Sorry. And within the purport, within the translation, it says that how as part of the supreme royal power, the king is supposed to exact taxes which were used for the welfare of the citizens themselves, and also punish those who were disturbing the peace in the country, possibly for many reasons, for many crimes like theft, robbery, or even endangering or harming someone. And same time, fine them severely, fine them for not following the laws and legislation within the country or in the nation. To do what? All these three activities specifically to maintain peace and prosperity, which we have seen from the examples of from the examples of King Prithu Maharaj. And we can see the same three-step process, we can say, has been passed on and is still being followed. May not be for the same purpose in today's world, as explained by His Grace Saratiya Mataji yesterday, quite nicely, that how thousands of people who throughout the year plan and plot to become the next in charge, they want to have that power, that royal power. And once they achieve that power, what they do is they do impose taxes, but not to help the citizens, but for their own benefit. And they punish those who are trying to do the right things, not do the wrongdoers, because they themselves are doing the wrong things. And they find to govern people, to rule them. Basically, and to achieve all these royal power, all they do is they lie. They lie because they want to get the power. And they bribe at the same time, using the greed in people so that they win votes. And they fight against their opponent in anger. So we can say that they lie because they're attached to that position. They want to have that position, which shows that they are lusting. And they bribe, which is they are being greedy and they are promoting greediness. And same time, as I say, they fight because they are out of anger, because it's not easy to fight without being angry. So today's administration, today's governance shows the three qualities, which is lust, anger, greed. But here Prabhupada, within the translation, tells us about a twist, that instead of going for that royal power, the king Antardana does not want to do or be part of any of those activities. In translation, Prabhupada says he was not willing to do so. And within the purport, Prabhupada gives us the example of Arjuna. In the battlefield, at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he gives so many reasons not to fight. In chapter 1, text 30, Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna says, Brahmativa cha me mana. He's saying, I'm forgetting myself. My mind is reeling. I'm confused. And following that, in text 31, 1.31, he says, Nacha rajyam sukhanicha. Nor can I see happiness, nor can I see any kingdom or happiness by killing. And the third reason following, he says that one in text 36, he says, Papam eva shraed ashman. Sin will overcome me. He is fearful of all of the sinful reactions that he will encounter if he kill his family members or the army when standing in front of him. And as a result, in text 39, he says, Kulakshaya, destroying the family. If he destroys the family, what will happen? Kula dharma naste. The family tradition will be destroyed. So such activities will never be desirable, but by anyone. But nonetheless, Prabhupada says in the purport that the Kshatriya had to perform such undesirable actions as a matter of duty. Because the word Kshatriya itself means to protect, and he has to protect his citizens from possible harm or from possible enemies, for which he has to fight, he has to kill. And similarly, Prabhupada is telling us that everybody has to perform their duties, does not matter how hard it is. If we look at kids, so a question, who wanted to go to school when they were young? Just open question to everyone in the forum. Nobody. And why is that?
Because they have a fear. They are reluctant to go there. They don't know what is going to happen there.
Yep. And the biggest fear that they have is of homework. They have to do study. They were scared of homework. Even if you look at householders, they also have a fear. They have a fear. They don't. Who likes to clean here? Who likes to clean the house?
Not me, Prabhuji, surely.
Exactly, Mataji. Nobody wants to clean, and that's why maid service is available, and in a country like India, it's used at large scale. So and luckily that in New Zealand that it's very expensive, so that not everyone can afford it. And even in terms, if we look at working life, who wants to work? Who wants to go to office and work hard? Nobody wants to work. If someone tells an employee that you have to work throughout the year, no holiday, no leave, they will not join. They will not join that company. The whole concept of holiday is there that you get a break from your work, which means that nobody likes to work. They're working just to meet their family's requirements, meet their family ends. So from this, we say that nobody wants to perform their duties, or nobody wants to study, nobody wants to work, but still they have to do it because it is a responsibility. And why we don't want to do all these activities that we don't like? Because it does not satisfy our senses. What makes us feel nice, happy, those are the activities we want to do. Otherwise, we don't want to do anything else besides that. And it is, but as per the different ashramas that Lord Krishna has provided us, even varnas, whether it's brahmachari, grahastha, varnashrama, or sannyasi, and in different varnas, whether you're brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, sudra, you have to perform your respective prescribed duty. Also, we can say we have to perform our sakam karma yoga. And if one does not perform their duty, what does Krishna says? Lord tells Arjuna, either you will be killed and attain the heavenly planets, or you will be conquered and enjoy the earthly kingdom. Chapter 2, text 38. Hato va prapsyasi swargam jitva va bhokshase mahim. Either you do your activity, either you fight or die, but you cannot run away from it. You have to perform your respectful duty, your prescribed duty. And by doing so, what's going to happen? Naivam papam avapsyasi. You will never incur sin. So, and we can see that Lord is not only saying this, he himself ordained all of the swadharma that he mentioned, right? Like he went to Guru school, he went to Gurukul, he went to study. He protected his family by killing demons. He also ruled and maintained peace and prosperity in his kingdom as Lord Ram. So Lord himself followed all of his instruction that he gave to us in Bhagavad Gita. And Lord says that it is better to engage in one's own occupation, as duties prescribed according to one's own nature are never affected by sinful reactions. So duties that has been prescribed as per one's nature is never affected by sinful reaction. And what is our nature? What is our true nature? We are eternal soul, part and parcel of the Lord. And a soul's nature is what?
To serve the Lord.
To serve the Lord. So we have to perform such undesirable actions as a matter of duty. But next year, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that Maharaj Antadhana was not very happy while exacting taxes or punishing the citizens for their criminal activities. So he was not happy. And what he did on the plea of performing sacrifices, he retired from the royal majestic power at a very early age. Does it mean that he didn't follow his prescribed duty? He didn't follow Sakam Karma Yoga? Does it mean that?
No, he did.
He did, exactly, Prabhu, because in the text 1 and 2, we can see that he gave directions as the, after Prithu Maharaj, as the elder member of the family, he gave directions to all of his brothers. He explained them, he gave them instructions what they need to do. And then he equally distributed the kingdom to all of his 4 brothers in different parts of the country, of the world. Northern, southern, western, eastern, in different directions. And once he was done with that, he moved towards Nishkam Karma on the plea of performing sacrifices. We need to see that King Antardhan was a surrendered soul. We can say that he was not under the control of material energy, because Lord himself says, Devi hai shagunamaya mama maya duratyaya mam evaya prapadyante mayam etam taranti te. That this energy of mine is really hard to overcome, but one who has surrendered to the Lord can easily overcome. And Antardhana, King Antardhana, knowing that this is this is the true nature of soul, and this is the true duty of the soul, being a self-realized soul, surrender to the Lord, he went to perform of sacrifices. He retired at a very early age. And as a surrendered soul, the king knew very well that the ultimate benefactor of all sacrifices is none other than Lord himself. Bhoktaram Yagna Tapasa Yagna Sarvaloka Maheshwara. So whatever sacrifices was to be performed, he knew that Lord Krishna is the ultimate benefactor of all those sacrifices. And with that, being a surrendered soul, being a devotee of Krishna, he was engaged in Sanatana Dharma, his eternal prescribed duty of a soul, which is to serve the Lord through serving the instructions, by serving the Guru, Sadhu and Sastra. In today's age, the term retirement has a different meaning, which is where one, after an age which is 65 globally, in most of the countries, one leaves his material work and then move towards just living his life. But he's relying on the government through pension. He's relying on the government that may change, that will change. But a devotee of Lord, he's always performing his duty. He's always performing his eternal prescribed duty, which is to serve the Lord. And he's not fear of death. He's not fear of food, hunger, old age, because he knows that the Lord will be providing him always. I was reading in one of the conversation between Srila Prabhupada and an interviewer, and when Prabhupada was planning to go to Vrindavan, the interviewer asked that, Srila Prabhupada, are you retiring? What will happen after you retire? And Srila Prabhupada so nicely, amazingly said that I'm always retired. I began this moment in my retirement, which means there's no word, there's nothing for retirement. in a devotee's dictionary. Because a soul never gets old. Soul is not born. He doesn't get old. He is eternal. So to summarize, Antardhana, the king, knowing, being a surrendered soul, he knew what his true nature was and what his true prescribed duty was. And that's why, after performing all of his prescribed duty, he moved towards performing sacrifices and retired from royal majestic power. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada, ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. If there's any comments, questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much for enlightening the inner meaning, which of course is small text and small translation and purport. But you have split it into nice sections, making us understand the importance of our working life and the life towards the Supreme Lord. So you have nicely mentioned that it is not like until the end of the life we keep on working for ourselves and maybe for the family and for the nation, for the society. But what about our soul duty? That has to also be performed side by side. Because before you close your eyes, you have such duties performed, which is already binded along with you, because soul is there. So to perform the soul's food, or soul's attachment to the Supreme Lord, you need to keep on working. As Prabhupada mentioned in his interview, you are never retired. You are always working, but the working style is different. You are not a pretty worker, but you are an eternal worker, which we can't see, but you can feel it. And that's what the Antardhan was doing. He left his Shakam karma and he started Nishkam karma, meaning that is giving the full duty to the soul till it lives, and that is our eternal relationship with the eternal Lord. So to make a sweet relation before we leave this world. Thank you so much for
Thank you,
taking
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
And even in Canto 3, chapter 30, text 40, Srila Prabhupada has also explained that when the body starts getting older and situations becomes, or we are not, if we are not suitable for running around and engaging in exhausting services and tasks, one should switch from the external activities to internal activities. What is externally, there's so much one can do up to a certain age, but then you move to, internal activity should always continue, but move towards internal activities, which is to deepen our hearing and chanting, so we can remember the Lord when the time comes to leave this body. Because spiritual life is never retired. It is eternal. There is no question of retirement. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you very much for a very nice class. It's a very, it's a verse on which you can really think and reflect a lot. I was thinking what is right for Arjuna's situation is not right for King Antardhana's situation. So each person has got their own roles and responsibilities. And I think the whole point is that we have to be willing and flexible to go along with Krishna's arrangements and Krishna's needs from us at all points. So if we are required as a Kshatriya is required to fight, then at that point, Arjuna has been encouraged and inspired to fight. And here, King Antardhana, he's been inspired to let go, to kind of hand over the responsibilities to others and to focus on his internal sadhana. So that was what I was thinking.
Yep. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much,
Prabhu.
Mataji. Okay, if there's no further questions, thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mata.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for an amazing class describing the reality of our life, what our life should be like, focusing on the king's activities. As we know, this material body, we don't know what can happen when. So it's not only after retirement, just like Prahlad Maharaj and Dhruv, they started at a very
Early age.
age. So we should think of our spiritual life as soon as we can understand what is all about. And then we can focus, is especially our young children. We have to guide them a lot, because you can see in this current age, children are deviating towards mostly material life. So we have to guide them and tell them what actually life is meant for, and how this material body is reacting, how we have to take care of our spirit soul, that's a part and parcel of Krishna. So that's very nice. And we should know that spiritually, we have to, like, I have seen Prabhuji, there are so many people taking initiations and taking Brahman initiations. But when it's time for doing service, we see very limited people are available there. So if we are really interested in our spiritual life, though we are preaching, we are distributing books and all those, but we also have a temple there, which needs a lot of help, needs a lot of devotees around to help in the running of the temple. So if my humble request is there, if anyone is available anytime, say, Joe, please come and do services at the temple.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Okay, if there's no further comment, I will request Shama Mata.
Yes, Prabhu, we can conclude the class since there's no further comments. Vanchakalpatrupyascha kripasindhuvayevich
Evacha patitanam
Titanam
pavane
pavanebhyo
Vaishnavebhyo namo
Nama
namah.
Nama. Anantapati Vaishnavrinda ki jai. His Grace Sumati Nimai Prabhu
Prabhu
ki
ki
jai.
jai.
Chila
Ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Ki jai.
Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna.